about. I'm actually next gonna talk about the UCS Death Star. Honestly, the set has kind of grown on me a little bit. Like, I don't know. I don't have the money to buy it right now. Because I can't just drop $1,000 on a set like that. Um, and even if I did, I don't think that I would buy it. However, I am the set's kind of growing on me just in the slightest bit. I think I think I kind of had a bias towards it because the UCS Death Star, it's not at all what I had hoped a UCS Death Star would be. I was really hoping that it would be like the previous versions that we've got, but you could, kind of panel it up and so that you could display it closed or open. Um, but I would probably prefer it closed just because I'm more of a display guy rather than a play guy. So I don't necessarily care what's on the inside of a set. Kind of like I have the Master Builder series Mos Eisley Cantina, and although it's a Master Builder series set, so it kind of has some functionalities like on the inside. I display it closed, so I never really see that. Um, I never really see the inside, but I think the outside still looks really good, and I think it looks great displayed closed, and then I can just go in and open it whenever I want. So coming back around to the UCS Death Star, I wish that I wouldn't have even been mad if it was like still in the same scale as the previous ones. Like I've built the UCS Death Star 2, the one from like 2005. And although it's like that's a pretty outdated set, the hey, oh, what's up? Um the uh what do you call it? Um I just lost my train of thought. Um but anyways, so the way that the or at least the size of that set, it's probably like the actual ball of it is probably like uh it didn't fit on my shelves, but it's probably like 12 inches by 12 inches. So the size of that, I think, if you just had the Death Star be like a 12 by 12 sphere essentially. Um and then you could panel off the outside and then um you could panel off the outside and then you could still have stuff on the inside and and it so then it could look good from the outside, or you could display it from the inside, and it would look good either way depending on who you are and how you wanted to display it. But the way that they went and created the UCS Death Star, it wasn't. I didn't like it at first because um, it wasn't at all like how I had wanted it to be. But now, after some time of essentially not really caring about it, because I still don't really plan to get it because I don't have that kind of money to spend. Uh, but now looking back at it, um, I I think I was a little bit too harsh on the Death Star at first, just because it wasn't like how I wanted it to be. Um, so I think the set, taking everything into consideration, is like a 6.5 out of 10, maybe a 7. Um, the minifigures don't really do anything, but the set, I haven't seen it in person, and unfortunately, I really wait, what? what did I do? I haven't been able to see the UCS Death Star in person, unfortunately. Um, but I I can kind of get a rough estimate on how it looks, and I think if somebody offered me if somebody wait, what am I trying to say? If somebody um would let me buy it for like $500, which I know it's really cheap considering it's 9,000 pieces. Like I think a fair price for it to be on at retail is probably $900. Um, but if somebody gave me an extreme discount, I think I would probably buy it. Um, because I think the diorama aspect of it is cool, and the set in general I think is pretty cool. It's a cool concept. Essentially what I'm trying to say is that it's a cool concept. It's just not what I had hoped for. I think me and a lot more people would have built up more hype for it, and um, maybe been more receptive to actually buying it if, well, I mean, the $1,000 paywall is not easy to overcome anyways. But me and other people would be more receptive to buying it, if it was sort of like an actual Death Star and not. I mean, it gets the name like Death Slice, which is it's kind of funny, but it's also kind of true because it's literally a slice of the Death Star. But like even if you scaled it down like the dimensions by like 90%, and then you just built out the back, then you could either display the back, or you could display it from the front with all the dioramas, so that way, either way that you'd want to display it, you can. And that way you're not only limited to it being displayed as just like an amalgamation of, like just different dioramas and scenes and stuff. Because I think I could be wrong, but I believe that they've made a diorama of every single, like an actual diorama set of every what? Oh, a diorama set of every single um every single of like one of like the mini dioramas that they've made for the where are we at? That they've made, or that they put in the UCS Death Star. The one where they are, where like Luke and Leia are swinging like on the rope. That one's not a diorama, but there is a set that they made of it in like maybe 2019, 2018, something like that. Um, but like outside of that, I think every single one of the other ones, except for like the hangar bay, which isn't really a scene, but every other thing in the Death Star has already been a set. So you could just buy the dioramas for way cheaper than you're buying the Death Star for. Like the only point I'll give the Death Star is that it's like absolutely massive. Um and it so it gets that factor of just like when you enter a room, you just see like how like just huge it is. But like to me, there's nothing like inherently special about the set. Like everything else is just everything else you can get from something else that Lego has already made. Like if you catch what I mean. Um like there's The only thing is the exclusive minifigures, but like in almost every single set, you're going to get a new exclusive minifigure in UCS sets. In UCS sets, except for apparently the ones that I always want to buy. Um, there's usually an exclusive minifigure. So, like the Krennic, he was in Andor season 2, but they're likely not going to make any more Andor season 2 sets, so he's probably not going to come in that. But there's no way that they're done with Krennic's story, so I wouldn't be surprised if he gets put in another set with that same, like the same minifigure that they made for the Death Star. Galen Urso. Galen Urso is probably one that I wouldn't see them making again. Just because he doesn't really fit anywhere. In Rogue One, he had like maybe 5 minutes of screen time. Um, Outside of that, the Hot Tub Stormtrooper, that one, unless for some reason they release it in like a foil pack or something, I just really don't see them re-releasing that minifigure. So that's actually one that's probably not going to get re-released. Uh, what else? That Imperial Dignitary. It might not be that specific minifigure, but I wouldn't be surprised if they made another Imperial Dignitary minifigure down the line, and then um, just put him in that set. And then I can't really think of many of the other minifigures that are actually exclusive. I think technically some of the like Luke's and Leia's and stuff are they're new, like they have new molds and faceprints and stuff, so they're technically exclusive. But they're those ones I'm not counting as exclusive. So yeah, just all in all, the Death Star doesn't wow me in any specific way. I think there are much better UCS sets, especially bang for your buck. Actually, I think pretty much every single UCS set out right now is probably better overall than the UCS Death Star is. Um, but like I'm not at all like stopping you if you want to go buy it. Um, I think it's a pretty cool set. Like I wouldn't not at all complain if somebody like gifted me the set, obviously. Um, but it just doesn't do anything for me. It it's not a set, especially as somebody who doesn't have like a huge amount of disposable income who can just drop a bunch on, like the new sets that come out. It just doesn't do anything to make me even like, it's a cool enough set that I think I could afford to I could afford, not like going out and doing other fun stuff in order to sacrifice the money for this. So it just it's just not it for me. Like I said, there's so many better sets out there um, that just appeal to me more and especially are cheaper. Um, but it definitely has its pros. It just I wouldn't even necessarily call them cons. There's just so much stuff that pulls me away from the set instead of maybe pulling me in and like, oh, this part is actually like really cool. Maybe I'll actually consider it more. Um, maybe the $1,000 is somewhat justified. You know, but like I said, there's just nothing on that UCS Death Star that does that for me. I wouldn't. Well, UCS sets don't really go on sale ever, especially ones that are only sold at Lego.com, um, outside of like Amazon or whatever. Um, but yeah, that it's likely never going to go on sale, and so there's the UCS sets that I want more right now. So the UCS sets that are out right now, the Falcon, um, the Venator, the X-wing, um, the TIE Interceptor. So actually, let me look at the ones that I have. So that one's retired. Um, is that the? Or no, I have two UCS sets. Okay, so there's right now there is the Falcon, the Venator, the UCS Death Star, the X-wing, the TIE Interceptor, um, the AT-AT, the Jango Fett's starship, whatever you want to call it, and the Jabba's sail barge. I don't think I'm missing any. If I'm missing, if I missed one of the UCS sets, you can put it in the comments. But I think if I were to do like a ranking of like price and price, uh, playability, displayability, stuff like that, I think I think the UCS Death Star would probably rank the lowest out of all of those, um, because I've said it like 5 times, but it doesn't do anything for me. It looks cool when it's on display, but it's not for me, and definitely not for $1,000.